Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And today we are back to the Monsterverse, baby. In case you
Ooh.
missed some of the podcasts that we did, like what was it? We did. I think the Godzilla marathon we did was
Yeah, we
like,
did a Godzilla month.
and we talked about Godzilla versus Kong after separately because it wasn't out back then. But like that was like 4 years ago, my dude.
Been a little bit, yeah.
Mm. Well, either way, so if you haven't tuned in for that, then just a refresher. I am the big Godzilla guy. Wolf isn't, but I think doing this marathon gave him an appreciation for the King of the Monsters.
There's a lot more history to it than what I ever thought there was, right? And I enjoyed quite a bit of it.
hmm
Yeah, Godzilla
So
versus Kong was getting close to 4 years ago, looking at the dates and everything.
yeah, well, because the movie was 3 years ago,
Yeah.
so there's that. But anyway, the Monsterverse is kind of back, and in case you to kind of briefly talk about the Monsterverse thoughts that we had, go and listen to, like, I think it was the Rewa era where we talked about Godzilla 2014 and King of the Monsters, Godzilla versus Kong. We gave it its own podcast, and yes, we are aware that Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire is out next week. We're gonna talk about that next week, and also Monarch aired before,
Yeah.
so we're not going to mention the New Empire yet. That is gonna come next time.
Spoilers for
But anyway,
next Outcast episode.
mhm. We did this before. What else? So anyway,
No, it's
now
all
we
good.
have them. So now, the MonsterVerse, which started with Godzilla 2014, and then Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and Godzilla versus Kong, has expanded its wings to TV, to streaming TV, because most movies do that these days to some degree. This one is on Apple TV. Like, honestly, I don't remember the last time we talked about something that was on Apple TV. Do you remember?
Have we ever? I don't know.
I don't think we did. But that's besides the point. So, Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. It's been out for quite a while, and fittingly enough, we it was also confirmed for season two a few days ago at the time of this recording. So, timing. We planned that, I swear.
Hmm.
So, but anyway, it just kind of a quick just Monsterverse thoughts in general. I am a big fan. Like, not all the movies are perfect. There are things that I like about one that I don't like about the other, but there are stuff that I'll give the other over there. But overall, I really enjoy the Monsterverse movies. They are a lot of fun, and I feel they are a good updated take on these classic characters. Godzilla specifically, because he's like the face of it. But Kong is cool too. Not saying that he isn't. Wolf, what about you? I think you're kind of in the same boat as me.
Yeah, I think so far I have enjoyed it. I think I remember saying like there was a few things like especially with the first movie there was
Mm,
not enough Godzilla, but I think that was a general complaint, right? I'm not alone in that, right?
mm.
But
Yeah, and then people complain that there's too much Godzilla in the sequel, so
I
people are
mean,
idiots.
there's never too much Godzilla. You can never have too much Godzilla.
I agree with that. But
More Godzilla is always a good thing in my opinion because you get to see him just doing what he does best, and like no complaints there. So yeah, no, yeah, that was like my only little complaint of it. So I think overall, yeah, I have enjoyed it.
Mhm. So, with that being said, now we have this Apple show called Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, and
Mhm.
I'll say that for something that's obviously it's not. I won't say it's a mandatory viewing for the Monsterverse or something, but I'll say as a companion piece, it's both. Like, I think it's both does its job really well. Like, I am happy I saw it. I'm interested in it. If the now that we know there's a season two, I'm excited to see where things will go. But I'm also feeling that if you are coming into this to try and get a new angle on things, or to have more to think about in terms of the movies themselves, this might disappoint you. But overall, I think
Well,
My 2 cents is this is a well-made show.
it doesn't have anything like. Have you seen the new movie?
Yeah,
Godzilla,
I've
Kong,
seen the new
Empire. What's the name
Empire.
of it? New Empire. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I've seen the new Empire.
this
Yes.
doesn't have anything to do with that, right? Because I know it's set
Mm,
before Godzilla versus Kong, but after Kong Skull Island.
no, like Monarch is taking place after Godzilla 2013.
Well, yeah, I know that, but it's also
Oh,
after Skull Island, right? Because
yeah, Skull Island is the first one chronologically because it takes place during the Vietnam War kind of thing.
mm,
So
okay, because his dad, because spoilers, Hiroshi's dad dies, and they show that, and I think that's shown in Skull Island, correct? Or
yeah,
no?
and there's a connection there. It's been a while since I've seen Skull Island, so I
Mm,
don't remember. I don't remember, but the implications are that yes, he probably died throughout it because they don't
okay.
really make it clear who the father is.
Mm,
So
okay.
there's that.
Fair, fair.
Mm.
Well, it's definitely set before Kong versus Godzilla versus Kong because like
Well, Godzilla
Apex.
vs Kong is like, yeah, it's the latest one chronological. Like, let's say
Well, yeah, but
the chronological timeline is Kong Skull Island, Godzilla 2014,
okay, Monarch.
Monarch, King of the Monsters versus Kong, X Kong, the New Empire.
I got you. Okay, all right. Yeah. With that in mind, so far I
Mm-hmm.
am kind of a little bit meh on this show. It's good,
Okay.
but like I'm not sold on it yet. I think, right?
It takes a while to. I'll say this that the first half of the show does take a bit of a time to find itself, but and the second half starts to pick up some speed.
I didn't. I think my biggest problem was just some of the characters, especially our main characters. Looking at our main three, Kentaro, May, and Kate, it took them a long time before I started to like them. I'll be honest, and even close to the end, I was still a little iffy on them. Somewhat.
Let's say there is this that I guess because let's say there are two without spoiling anything, there are two timelines to this.
Hmm.
There's the flashbacks, quote unquote, and there's the present day.
Yeah, set
Oh, let's say
flashbacks.
it's somewhat present day. The flashbacks do have an advantage over the modern day, though I didn't hate the modern day, honestly. Like I
I didn't
did
hate it.
I
It just didn't gel with me as much. I think the flashbacks I liked a lot more. The flashbacks are set during like the 1950s, 1940s, and they're following
it's
uh Lee Shaw, fuck, what is Bill Randa and what is her name?
and
Keiko.
yeah,
Or K.
yeah, Keiko, yeah. And also, you call him Lee Shaw, but every time I see him, because it's the same actor, like this is the bad Captain America from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So it
Well,
took me as soon as I saw his face, I'm like, motherfucker.
it's Wyatt Russell, right?
No, like in the present day, he's played by Kurt Russell, yes, but in
Yes,
the
but
flashbacks,
he's played by Wyatt. Yeah, his son, I believe, right?
oh right, yeah, they are father and son in real life. That was
Yeah,
actually really cool.
yeah. It's good on them. They got like both of them to play like the younger and older version of him. Makes sense. Fair, fair.
Mhm.
A good
Yeah.
pick.
And so I think I do prefer the flashbacks overall, but I think the modern day stuff has some noteworthy things, and especially again we'll get into this, but with how it ends, it does seem they have more story to tell.
Which
Now
I'm okay with.
the thing that I'm kind of about with that is that with the modern day, we don't really get to see some of the characters from the movies come into play. Which, to be fair, I know that that's kind of the point. But like, because the movies are the movies and the show is its own thing. But if you're going to show, to focus on Monarch, that's the title of the show after all. If you're going to focus on them, then maybe I would like to see some of the people from the
Yeah.
movie that are associated with Monarch. Like, where's Ken Watanabe's character, Shirazawa? Where is he in all of this? He's still alive at this point. What about and some maybe for season two? But like, where's the woman who researches Kong? Where is she in all of this? I just maybe a bit more connection, but I guess maybe I'm asking too much for a season one.
No, I agree with you though personally, because like I came into this and I was so lost for a bit because I'm like, do we know any of these? Google, no, no, maybe, no, no, maybe again. I don't know if they appeared in the old films. It's been so long since I've seen the old films. I don't remember, and most of them have not. Like, I don't think any of these characters have appeared in any of the old films.
No, none of them. And also, kind
I
of
think
jumping the
the
gun.
Randas may have been mentioned, but yeah, yeah. John Goodman played Bill Randa in like Kong Skull
Yeah,
Island,
so
reading the wiki, but
that's
the only
that's
one.
the one because again when the show kind of starts with this, not a spoiler if it's the first few seconds, but like the show starts with it, and I'm like, oh, that's an interesting connection. That's something, and then it's like kind of like honestly, John Goodman had power. I'm sure he had a good paycheck day, but it's like there was no reason to have that scene there.
Was like
Besides,
the way they show it was Kate in the first Godzilla movie, because I don't remember her, but the way they
um,
show it, it
no, no,
seems like
no,
she was
no,
in the
like
first Godzilla movie.
no, it's like they show that she was in San Francisco when the first Godzilla movie took place, but she wasn't there in the movie itself.
But yeah, but it felt like they were showing a scene from the movie, and I was like, "Is this a scene from the movie? Did I miss something? Did I
And but
forget?"
that kind of and to be honest, that's also kind of like the point to show that
Mm,
the effects in this show
yeah.
are really damn good. But then
Hmm.
again, I also know that the reason they're focusing on Monarch and not the monsters is because they don't have the budget to make the monsters look as good for a whole TV show.
I mean, even then, they
So
still did good with it. Like,
no, they did
I
great. Like
didn't
Godzilla looks
personally
amazing as
notice a
well.
difference. Like, yeah, like looking at you see Godzilla in the show a few times, right? I didn't
Mhm.
like. I'm sure more eagle-eyed people would probably be like, "That's wrong. That's not something there is wrong. It's not as good." But for the most part, from like a just general watch, right? Godzilla
Mhm.
looked great in the show too, so like it didn't look that
And
bad.
also like because besides Godzilla, I think all the kaiju's that you do see in this show are original designs.
Hmm.
They are not lifted from any of the movies, and also because Toho is really picky when it comes to copyrights and shit. So
Mm.
Godzilla is the only like named one that you'll know from before, and like all the monsters look great
Hmm.
whenever they show up. Like obviously you can see that they are trying to save on the budget because
Oh yeah,
they
you only
don't
get
have the
like spoilers. You only get one big kaiju fight, and that's it.
but
Don't
to
expect a
be
lot.
honest I also think this is the point of the show
Yeah,
because it's called Monarch Legend of Monsters, not Monsters Legends of Monarch, right? You are
yeah,
here.
yeah.
So the focus is on but I also like that in a way it's kind of a good connecting tissue to Godzilla 2014 because that movie tried to show it like mostly from the human's point of view, and
Hmm.
some people prefer, some people like it, some people like it less, but I think it tries to go back there to really to focus on what do these humans see whenever these monsters are doing their thing. And
I think.
yeah, and
Oh,
in
go
a
ahead.
way I kind of like the idea that,
Hmm.
just to compare to something that, to the main character, to the main girl especially. I need to remember the names. I need the list
Kate.
here. Kate. Yeah, yeah, they're like a for Kate, there you see her that she was in San Francisco when Godzilla attacked, and at this point, like you need to remember that for 2014 in this universe, this was the first time a lot of people even knew Godzilla was a thing in
Hmm.
universe. Like they didn't encounter him before or something. He was just kind of chilling in the ocean for a good while, and then one day, with the mutas and everything, he just showed up. So to her and to other people, this is like, how do you live with having lived through something like that? Like it's kind of like, not to compare obviously, but kind of like how do for the general public after 9/11 happened, right? It's this catastrophe that kind of shakes the world, and how do you move on from that? how do you act? What do you do? Like suddenly she goes to Japan and there are all of these Godzilla alerts and special hiding places in case he shows up. I like that. I like seeing that, what do the humans actually take away from when something like this happens, right? It's something that leaves a mark, and I feel the show covers that really well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it works better for a show too, right? As well, because you have a
Mhm.
lot more time that you can dedicate to a
Yeah.
lot of that stuff, and people are willing to sit down and go through a lot more of that. And compare that to a movie, right? You're going into a movie, you expect to be in there for hour and a half, 2 hours at most. It's like you're
Two
there,
hours ish, yeah.
you're there. You want to see the big monster doing the big things, right? Not so much the people reacting to the big monster doing the big things that you don't really get to see that much of. In a show,
Mhm.
you're more fine with getting to see the people react because different mindsets. You're there for something different, right? In my
Yeah.
opinion, at least. So yeah, like
And
I
again,
agree with you.
the title kind of tells you from the get go, this is the show about Monarch. This is focusing on the people, not Godzilla.
With that said, I don't think it's weird, right? Because it focuses on a particular aspect of Monarch, but it's not really about Monarch, right?
And I think that's also why I kind of like the flashbacks a bit more, because
Yeah,
the flashbacks actually show you how Monarch even came to be.
yeah.
What did it start up as? How did it become what it is today? You actually see how it was formed, and I found this really interesting. In the modern day, they play a part. You can kind of tell that kind of like any
Big
governmental figure.
global
I think
secrecy
there
thing.
are
Yeah,
yeah, people care more about their own motives as opposed to the greater good. And some people have changing agendas. Someone would betray this person in order to get something from this person. They get there, and to some extent, it is interesting. But I'm more interested in seeing the origins, like how did something like Monarch came to be, and like I found myself being more invested in the flashbacks, but the modern day picked up in the second half.
I would say like I'm more interested in seeing the origins of it, how it started, right? How it
Mhm. Yeah.
and then like going into how it changed, and then going into I would have preferred to see more of Monarch's side, right, in reacting to what they call G Day, right? Like Godzilla's first appearance, right? I would have liked to have seen more of that. We don't really get any of that. And you might argue we got that from the movie, but I don't think the movie showed anything from Monarch, really, did it?
Well, they more showed the I guess the lead up to G Day.
Yeah.
When it comes to their experiments with the Mutos, and trying to track down Godzilla, knowing that he's gonna go after the Mutos. That's what you see. You do,
Yeah.
but because after Godzilla beats the Mutos, he's just gonna pieces out. The movie ends after that. There's not. Monarch becomes a bit more of an entity, I would say, in King of the Monsters.
Hmm.
In Kong Skull Island, if I recall, the name is mentioned, like but because it's so long beforehand, as we know, it's just kind of a name. It's not an entity yet,
Hmm.
like it is in the future.
Hmm.
So there's that.
Yeah.
But in
I think
in terms
that's
of
probably
2014, yeah.
yeah. I think that's probably my biggest complaint. Then, like, I would have enjoyed more on Monarch and less on the two essentially grandkids of the people who started Monarch and their kind of trek to find out why their father's kind of a terrible father, and that's about it.
But by the by, can I just say this is just a realization I had after I finished the show and I was thinking about everything. Somehow this show is Dragons the Nine Realms done right.
What do
If
you
you
mean
know,
by
you
that?
know. Okay, so
I'm not sure I get it
let's
yet.
just
I think I get it,
okay.
but explain.
Okay, so let's say this. You have humans and some sort of mythological creatures. In this case, it's the monsters, titans
Hmm.
like Godzilla.
Hmm.
In Nine Realms, it's dragons.
Hmm.
Then but and then both set of creatures are kind of living in this under the surface type of other world that is actually a thing. People say that it's bullshit made up science, but no, apparently Hollow Earth is kind of a thing that people have talked about before.
It is a
So
conspiracy thing, yeah. It's a thing that exists.
yeah. So anyway, so again, you have Hollow Earth in the Monsterverse, and you have the Hidden World in Nine Realms, and How to Train Your Dragon in general, and and then you have some sort of a mystery where the main character is trying to figure out something about their lineage and how they're connected to the whole thing. See my point?
Okay, yeah, I get it now. Fair enough. Fair. Fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to say that isn't it ironic that the king of the monsters did better than the king of the dragons? Just ironic, though. I love How to Train a Dragon,
Well,
but
not king, queen. Come on, get it right. Like Astrid, remember?
I was referring to the dragons more in this case, but whatever. Let's not turn this into. Don't have the crew for this. But,
gotta call up the gang. Get over here, guys. We're going for another drive by at 9
yeah, okay, we're going for a final thing now. Before we do that, all of you watch Monarch. Wait, what? Just do it.
Just call
So,
everybody up. Tell them, hey, come in here and shit on 9 Realms for just one sentence. That's all you get. All right, bye. Randomly.
let us know in the comments if you would like us to do that. Anyway, so should we just go into spoilers? I think we kind of covered everything non-spoilery.
Let's jump in.
So yeah, so spoilers for Monarch in 3, 2, 1. Still here? Okay, so I just gonna have to say, even though I said that I like the flashback parts more, what was the point of the fucking love triangle?
I mean, you say that. What was the fucking point in May's character? I'm sorry. The actress is doing a great job, but like, why is she here other than to have drama for, between her and Kentaro, and also just because she's good at computers? Like,
I think, and it's kind of annoys me because, just
like
what you said,
I
that you
guess, like,
could
give them credit, they tied it into the Apex thing, right? And like that's how Apex, is set up, right? And how it comes to be is because of her, or like Apex
Mhm.
Cybernetics.
But also like that does annoy me because I did like May's arc. Supposedly, I found her again in the second part more so, but
I
I
liked
kind of
her, especially in the second part. I do agree. I liked her more in the second part, but there was a point where I was like, she's complaining so much about not wanting to be here, about wanting to leave and everything. And it's like, you guys forced me. It's like, but they
and to
didn't, yo.
yeah, I guess that's her way of trying to hide it. That's her way of trying to remove doubt. But I do agree that if that for because you don't know that, she might know it. Maybe I'm just, and also she knows that the audience doesn't, and I think when by the time you get to it, you're like, oh, okay, but you still think I had to spend 5 episodes of this bitch just complaining, so I get it.
Well, it's also my biggest problem, right, was Kate, Kentaro, and May. And like with May, it was always, she's always complaining about not wanting to be there. And I get it, but her complaint was, it's all your two fault for getting me involved. And it's like, but they didn't. Like, you can't blame them. They had no idea what was on the stuff that they were trying to get you to decrypt. They had no fucking clue. You still chose
Yeah,
to do it. And then you still chose to keep the information. Number two, and then you also chose to go with them. You didn't have to make that choice, but you did. So you can't
again,
blame them for that, but you do it constantly until a certain point, and then you stop doing it, and it's way better. And then I look over at Kate and Kentaro, and my biggest issues with them was Kate doesn't want to find their dad, and she's done with this whole job. Kentaro doesn't want to find his dad, and he's done with all this
honestly,
whole deal. Back to Kate being done with this whole deal, not wanting to do it. Back to Kentaro being done with this whole deal, not wanting to do it anymore. It's like, oh my God, I get it. You both do and
honestly,
don't want to find your dad at the same time. Pick a fucking
honestly,
lane.
one kind of joke I had written down is that they give up and then come back for family more times than in the Fast and the Furious movies.
It's all about family.
Yeah, it's all about the family, man, family. But
Listen, next
for the
Godzilla
record,
movie is going to be Godzilla in a sports car,
you know something that would fucking
out to save his family. Kong, he's there for him, like a brother.
uh, oh my. No. Better yet. Let's introduce one of the Godzilla kick, like either Godzilla Junior or Minya or something. Let's put the, let's put them in the race
Godzilla quote
cars.
unquote dies, and Kong's got to look out for Godzilla Jr. And then all of a sudden, when it looks like Godzilla Jr. and Kong are in real deep shit, Godzilla shows up and saves the day and just roars out family.
That
Vin
would be
Diesel's
the
there for some reason too,
no,
because
you know what would be like just completely throwing that like he does the regular iconic roar, but then he just turns it. But then you just hear very low key audible Vin Diesel going.
yes, perfect scene, perfect movie. Call us.
Oh, and then better yet, that the next time Godzilla rolls, you hear a very fainted Vin Diesel going, "I am Groot." Okay, no, that's
Get them all in there.
that. hmm
But
Well,
like, it was definitely the first half, right? In the second half, it got a lot better. I feel like
mhm.
they started doing it a lot less, but there at the first bit, it was a bit much of the going back and forth, in my opinion, and nobody
I
apparently wanting to be there, but then someone just convincing everyone, no, we got to still be here. We still need to do this for reasons. And it's like,
I
it
I
felt like
felt
they
like
didn't
it
know what
feel
they wanted to do with the characters there for a bit at first, and
yeah
they finally
because
found it.
the overall plot I would say is good. Like there's a good way for Kate and Kentaro to connect to the whole thing. There's a reason to like bring May along, like and everything. It's just that they're writing in some sense that they need to have these low points each episode where it's like, okay, we're giving up. Actually, we're not, but we're giving up. But we're not. It. How many times do you think we're even gonna do this when
Mm,
we have 10 of that? Come
yeah.
on.
And again, I don't think it's the actor or actress's fault because I think they did great. I think they
No,
were
yeah,
doing great at their
the
jobs.
actors says they did great. I just think that maybe a bit more rewriting could have made it better.
Mm,
That's the one thing I'll say.
I agree.
And I'm trying to think though, because again, there are scenes that I do like, and that I do like with these characters. Like it does feel like they care for each other, and and in a way, I do enjoy that Kate and
Was it
Kintaro act like siblings, even though they just met. They still It's like
they grow on
genetics
each
kind of
other? You can see them grow on one another, right? Like they start
yeah.
to care for one another somewhat. Like you can
Mhm.
clearly see that.
Yeah, and I think they were also well developed in terms of where Kate comes from and where Kintaro comes from. They have the same dad, but their backgrounds are very different, and I liked seeing them develop as characters in that sense. It's just that there are a lot of repeats with this arc, and I'm not sure if it's because it's a TV show. We need to drag this a bit, or is it just they copy and pasted the script sometimes? I don't know.
I wanna bring something up because you briefly mentioned it and we kind of went through it, right? You mentioned love triangle and you were talking about like the past, right? Between Lee,
Mhm. Yeah.
Bill Randa and Keiko Randa, right? Or Keiko.
Mhm.
She's not Randa at
Yeah.
that point. You were talking about the
Yeah.
love triangle between those three.
Yes.
Different question, same idea. Was it just me or did it feel like they were like slowly trying to a little bit set up Kate and May maybe question mark?
Oh, they were definitely doing
Right?
that. Like,
Right? It definitely
like
feels like it.
were, there were moments, and for the record, on board, right? Do it
Perfectly
by all
fine with
means.
it. There's nothing wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel a little bit sorry for Kentaro because that was his girlfriend, and now his half sister comes in
Well,
and she's like my girlfriend now.
to be honest, yeah, they did broke up
Yeah,
and
no,
everything.
fair, fair.
May is completely fair game for Kate to make a move. That's all I'm saying.
No, fair,
I
fair.
get what you bit that it's like, wow, I just found out I have a half sister and she's already moving in on my girl. What the fuck? But
I think it's
but
hilarious, but
it's funny. I mean, I in a way, you remember in the Legend of Korra, where people were like, "Oh God, the two girls I dated ended up lesbians. What the fuck?" And I think false. I
similar.
think this is like, in terms of cousin neutral, I'm like, oh fuck, my half sister I just discovered is moved in on my ex. Oh wow, that's you can make this shit up. But yeah,
But it
I
definitely
totally
felt
noticed.
like it, right? Like there's
There
definitely a
were
few
moments
moments where like
there were moments
Quint.
where I'm like, it literally looked like they were gonna kiss. I am not kidding. And again, zero problems with that. I do it.
I
Writers
think
of the show, if you're listening to this, go for it for season 2. By
yeah,
all
I
means,
think
do.
they did good. I think if that's what they were going for, they have the right chemistry set up. If it's
Oh
not
yeah,
what they were going for, why did you film it and write it like that? Because it definitely feels like you were going for that if you weren't. Like,
a
really, it
mistake.
feels like it.
Imagine if you do this by mistake and it's like,
Like,
oh shit, I like this?
the reason
Huh.
I think it can't be a mistake, right, is because there's an entire thing where Kentaro and Kate go off to get May back because, she was kidnapped by Applied Experimental Technologies, who later become Apex Cybernetics. This is their start, and Monarch, and this show kind of shows their start before the Godzilla versus Kong movie, right? So
Yes.
they go off to save May, and they get May back, and there's like they're in that car, and Kate just sits forward and kind of just hugs May a little bit and puts her arms
Yeah.
around her and just kind of like lays her head on her a little bit, and you see the
Mm-hmm.
camera slowly pan over to Kentaro, who's just kind of side eyeing them, just kind of looking meh, like a little mopey, and it's like I feel like you're trying to set those two up because
Mm-hmm.
this shot feels really like that, and I'm probably not explaining it very well, but still, and it
No, like,
feels like that, but like I don't know for sure because we end and there's kind of just nothing, but it really feels like that.
again, maybe something tells me if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but something that maybe they didn't intend it to be this way, but it comes across that way.
It's so
And
strong though, right?
but I also hope that whether or not it was planned or not, I kind of want to see it. Honestly, I ship it. Have at it, show. For season 2, I would like to see more of that. Sounds
It either
awesome.
feels like something they're going to go into more in season 2, right? Or
Hmm.
it feels like something that, like you said, may have been accidental, but maybe you should lean into it more because
I
again,
tell
you've
you
done
what.
everything right for it, so I guess.
I, I tell you what. I know, haha. HC brings Sonic up again, but trust me, there's a point that in the first Sonic movie, that the writers weren't intending it, but people caught up on that maybe Robotnik and Agent Stone might have like a gay relationship, at least from Stone's side. And so when the writer and when the crew behind the movies got that, they made it a lot more apparent in the second Sonic movie.
Mhm.
You see,
Yeah.
they actually played into it. So may it happen again. I don't know. May crew behind the show, go for it, please.
Fair.
So, but you know what? Since we are on this, I here's the thing that annoys me about the love triangle in the past, though. It was so not needed for Kieko and Lee Shaw to have that because as soon as this trio introduced, you can just tell that this is the married couple and he's just a good friend and third wheel. Really, why did we need this?
Because drama. In our
But they
monster show, we need
but,
drama.
but that's the thing. There's
Who
enough
cares about
drama.
monsters? No one likes monsters. Drama. Drama is
No,
the real monster, HC.
and no, but you know what? In a way, you're right. But also, but here's because then you have this entire thing in the final episode where they go into the Hollow Earth, which by the way has this thing of like de-aging, like that time moves slower there. This is not a thing in the Months of Us movies when they have the Hollow Earth, but I think they mentioned like maybe this is like an area of it or something.
Well, I think
And
the idea, right, is it's the longer the time you spend there, right? We've not seen anyone else spend a long amount of time in the movies. Like, I don't
then
think.
then maybe all I'm gonna say is that the new empire would have a war with you, but maybe I'm missing
Ah,
something.
fair enough.
So, but the point is that so and you have like Kiyako and Leisha reuniting there, and when he tells her that her husband has died, and she's like, no, no, and you have the drama there of both of them losing a friend, and like I was thinking, oh, what are they gonna do this thing like now we can be together and it's all right, and it's like no, because Lee dies at the end, so what was even the point of setting it up? There was literally
Well,
no
he might still
reason.
be alive. He's just stuck in the,
You really think in
the
a
Hollow
full
Earth.
cut or another thing.
I absolutely think they'll do another if this show's getting a second season, it'll be about getting Lee back because he's still in Hollow Earth and him sending like, "Hey, I'm still here, please save me," and it'll be a thing about getting him back. Absolutely, I think they will. One
Hmm.
hundred percent, I think they'll do that.
Okay, we'll talk about this a bit more, but this is one thing that I think you could have cut and nothing would have lost because I like their dynamic as they were when they were
Agreed.
introduced, and just because there are two guys and a girl in your group doesn't mean that both guys have to want to fuck her. Look at Harry Potter. That one, to be fair, that was done well. So you don't need to do that. Just
Mm.
saying. But so on that note, with talking more about the flashback and everything, I think this was a really good way to set up what Monarch is and how it started. Because
I think
usually
it's
you
great.
just gonna have these organizations in the government in these kinds of movies and shows that are like they are taking care of it, and here you can actually see the process of how did they come to discover the kaiju's, why did they start how did their bond grew as they tried to prove to the world that these things exist, the point where they're actually getting carte blanche to try and explore these things, all the obstacles and other things that came in the way of them actually creating this organization. I enjoy that,
No,
really, like.
I fully agree. Like you get to see it start off as just them taking on a mission to, understand what the heck's going on with some radiation signals they've seen. And that, expands out into like, oh shit, they found something that, is completely wild and out there. And they take that into, okay, later on you see that, Shaw, the military guy, is now in a command position and they've created this small thing with this small budget of them going out and exploring things. And they found a Godzilla footprint that they showed, one of the big wigs, right, to get more funding so they can do more. And so they decide,
Mhm.
hey, let's try luring out Godzilla and blowing him up with a big bomb. And as
That
always,
was
that works
actually
well.
something. That's actually something that, if we're gonna talk about this scene, I think this was really smart to make it so that that scene takes place in 1954, which was when the first Godzilla movie came out in Japan.
Hmm.
Anyway,
And
I
like
think it
also
was.
set when they were testing the nuclear bombs and everything. It's clever,
Yeah,
right? Like it
yeah,
shows that
it's
they
clever,
understood some
but
stuff.
I also like that, when Zilla came out, one of I don't think he did a Godzilla movie, at least not at the time, but the guy who directed some movies from another monster called Gamera, he he said when Zilla came out, it's weird that in the American version of Godzilla, he just kind of runs around trying to not being hit by missiles. It's like America can't accept the fact that there's a creature that can be put down by their arms. Like it's like
Listen,
is it really hard for you Americans to realize that there's a creature that you can't kill with your missiles?
listen,
And I think in a way some of it, some of his claims have kind of made it to the series because it's like, hey, we killed this thing, yeah, and then there's this nothing of like, oh no, we didn't kill that.
listen.
Godzilla didn't die from that bombing. That was really cool. I think
As
it was a nice nod there.
as the resident American, right? We don't pay
Hmm.
for a defense budget big enough to kill God and not be able to try and kill God. All right, that's just it don't work that way. We gotta. It's just how it is, right? We pay for a defense budget big enough to fight, and kill God, and damn it, we're gonna give it a best and do it and succeed.
I guess it was more that I like that. Oh, we killed that thing, yay! And then it's like, oh, you didn't kill this thing, and it's like, what do you mean?
I mean, to be fair, it like giving a little bit of credit to Zilla more than it deserves. It is definitely us to think that we would absolutely be able to take Godzilla, right? It is 100% the US to think that we would be
I
able to
don't.
take Godzilla.
You realize that you're not giving credit to Zilla. You're giving credit to the guy who criticized the movie for Americans being for Americans overcompensating on stuff with their rockets.
Potatoes, potatoes. Tomato, tomato.
In a way, fuck Zilla. Anyway, moving
Fair.
on. Okay, so I like that little nod to for one
Mhm.
the original Godzilla one because there was also this thing with some of with the second and third Godzilla series where whenever you remake this, so it's kind of like the first Godzilla is technically canon, but everything after it isn't.
Mhm.
So for a while, there were theories that maybe Godzilla 2014 is gonna with the same case that it is technically connected to the 1954 Godzilla, and then but then they just gonna put this in there. It's like, yeah, Godzilla showed up in 1954, but it's a different. We're doing our own thing with it. This is a different Godzilla. This is a different universe, and
Which I'm fine
I
with.
like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Both respecting the original and also doing something new and
agreed.
something for I enjoy that, and just just in general, because we mentioned them, I think the reason I really mentioned that it takes place that it takes inspiration from the 2014 one. The scale of the monsters is so freaking good in this show. Like you feel
Mhm.
their you feel, and not to say that you don't feel the size in the other movies, you do, but I think in this one in particular, where you have to film it again from the human's point of view, the scale is really damn good in
I
this
think
show.
it also helps, right? Because you're not seeing the monsters in big cities with a lot of these large buildings. You're getting these shots of like, oh, here's tiny human and then big monster right there in background right
Yeah,
beside them almost, right? I think that
yeah,
helps a
like
lot because you're not getting a bunch of crowds. You're just getting like one or like a small group or one or two people and then big monster, and it just helps to sell it a lot more in some ways, the scale,
that,
right? And speaking of the monsters, like, what did you think? I think it's called the Frost Vark, right? The big dog that can freeze things. What do you think of the
I
new one we
thought it
see
was
here?
again. I mentioned earlier that besides Godzilla, none of the kaiju's in this show are pre-existing because Toho is stingy with those.
Hmm.
But all the pre all the like the monsters that were created for the show, I would want to see more of them. I would want to see them like show up as maybe like something that just like a background monster, or maybe you can have a movie where Godzilla fights one of those in particular. They have some really cool designs there, and they look great. I wouldn't mind seeing them in an actual movie at some point. I like them.
Yeah, I
They're
kind of
good.
liked like the Frostwark, which is kind of this cross between a dog and a mole, right? Because it has like the face of a mole.
Snow, it's a dog in a mall, and it's in the snowy mountains.
Yeah,
All you need. It's
it's
343
neat.
though.
We see
Mm-hmm.
another one, but I don't like it lasts all of like I feel 5 minutes before Godzilla rips it in half, pretty much. So
I think you mean the one in the final episode.
yeah,
I think this was okay. We have this show, and we know, and we showed Godzilla before. We need to have a climax in which Godzilla fucking kills a monster with the atomic breath. So let's have this thing. It kind of look. I guess it can. I guess it kind of looks like Rodan. Might as well.
it kind of it is. It's just it's like it's wannabe Rodan, right? Because it definitely don't last as long as Rodan would last, and it definitely gets its
Like
ass
Rodan.
kicked.
I'm just talking about it because it can also fly and stuff. And I was actually thinking from the silhouette that it's Rodan for a second,
I
but
think that's the point, right? They want you to think that it's Rodan, and then you get a good clear shot of it, and you're like, oh, this is wannabe Rodan.
but it's also like it's like a monkey spider thing because it also uses web, and which I thought was cool. I kind of like that it shoots web, and like it hits Godzilla in the end. Godzilla's like, oh fuck, web. I hate
We do see,
it.
for once, a smaller kaiju as well, like the boar thing, which was neat.
Yeah. Yeah, this was so far like this guy. He's just there to show you that there are more of these things, and it's like nothing happens to it. It doesn't kill anything. Nothing kills it. He's just there. Like make a plushie of this guy. I would buy a plushie.
It's definitely I like the design of it, right, with all the bones sticking off of it in different directions and how like it looks scary, but it's also very much not scary. It's like probably the least threatening kaiju we've seen,
Hmm.
and which says something.
Yeah,
But I did
yeah.
like the design of it. It was neat. It was nice to see like, oh, not all of the kaiju are kaiju size. Some of them are just big, but not like, fuck off big. They're just big enough that it would still kill you, but not fuck off big.
Other animal that there are some animals which are bigger than others. It's a whole economy. It's a whole breed of creatures, and
Mm,
it makes some of them will be tinier, some of them would be. Not everyone is gonna be a Godzilla, right? You
mm,
can Not everyone is gonna be a Rodan or a Mothra or Ghidorah, God forbid. So,
mm.
so why not?
No, I
Why
agree.
not?
I think it makes sense, right? I agree with you. I think it's cool to. It's a good little, quick little thing to expand upon the world that they've created and like show that, oh no, like this is, the Hollow Earth is an entirely different, place, right? And it does have its own ecosystem, yada yada. I agree. It's nice.
And with some other things there. Uh, Going back to the humans, one moment, I don't want to say scene, it's more sequence that I really enjoyed was because they are trying to have this experiment of getting Keiko out of the Hollow Earth, right?
Mm.
And so they have this like a space, this shadow, and Lee's going in there, and a bunch of other people. And halfway through, the experiment just goes awry, and they think that Lee's dead. And the scene where remind me the other guy's name again. I can't remember names. Sorry.
Bill is his name, Bill Randa.
Yeah, yeah. So and when Bill comes home and he has to tell Hiroshi that's really that he just comes home and you see Hiroshi kind of knowing that something is wrong, but Bill doesn't even say anything. He's just gonna sign. Bam, you cut. Perfect. So well done. And then you see Lee actually he actually manages to run away. He manages to escape the Hollow Earth, and then he's kind of going insane there, and he's grabbing the nurse, and threatens her. I want to see Bill Randa. I want to see Bill. And then they tell him Bill is dead. You've been gone for 20 years. And then as he's falling to the ground and shaking about, you suddenly see 1982. Perfect.
Well,
Perfect.
even at the end, right, when like they rescue Keiko, Kate, and May, right? You see
Yeah.
Kentaro and their dad, and their dad Hiroshi show up, and it's like, hey, it's been 2 years, and you're like, what the fuck?
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
so.
I
It's
like.
again the way they do that little like, hey, it's been this amount of time since you've been gone, right? It's wild, but also they do it really well. They just drop that little tidbit on you.
Yeah, I really like that. It's again one of those. It's just really good directing, editing, and just letting stuff breathe and take their time. Like
Mm,
it heightens the impact. Honestly, kudos to the directing team. They really did a good job here.
agreed.
And let's see if there was anything else here that I. Oh, another transition that I really like is so after Lee's recovering from the whole thing, and you know, mm, Hiroshi kind of tells him, "I don't give a fuck about Monarch anymore. Like, we took both of my pet. I don't want that. Fuck that. No, I don't wanna. I don't want anything to do with it." And then you find out that they just gonna put Lee in this institution, and they just fed him pills to make him forget about it. That transition from his young self to his old self when he's honestly 40 years old, that was so good. Like that, it just kind of cut the way that they did this transition. It was so smooth.
Mm.
And you just see him in this old folk song with these pills, and suddenly he sees like the news report about Godzilla attacking, and you can tell that something kind of awakens in him. No matter how much they try to brainwash him, he remembers Godzilla. He remembers his friends. He remembers all of that.
Hmm.
so powerful, so good.
Agreed.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else
You
to
know,
mention.
bringing up Hiroshi, what did you think
Yeah.
about the family drama for him? Him having like two families essentially and never telling the other one about it. What did you think about all that? Because
Yeah, okay. That's actually something that on the surface, when it's introduced, it isn't it not entertaining, but it is interesting to kind of say, okay, what is this? Because you've seen some flashbacks that he had at least some sort of a relationship with Kate, right?
mm,
He met her, he knows her, and everything, and but I don't think they really established what was his connection to Kintaro.
what's his
And
son?
don't
But yeah, I
like
I think they need
because
to work on that more because it doesn't feel like Kentaro and Hiroshi have that much of a connection. And to
mhm.
me, right, the other issue is
I'll tell you what, maybe again, I don't think it's just developed enough because when Hiroshi does show up near the end at Kintaro's home, and the wife kind of gives the woman that just kind of gives him the ring, just tell them basically tell him don't come near me again. It also kind of makes you wonder who is he actually married to? Is he married to Kintaro's mother or Kate's mother?
well, we know Kentaro's
That
mother is the nurse that, Shaw attacked, right? Like we know that.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
but but it's still kind of like, so why would you have to like which one is the bastard child here? That's something that the show doesn't really say, and I guess maybe it's open, it's left for interpretation. But
I don't know, it
I
feels
would
like
like to
we
explore.
need I think I would have liked more on Hiroshi himself. It felt like we needed more character for Hiroshi because I don't
And then
understand why he did this, right? It makes no sense
yeah,
other than he's an asshole and we just needed drama for the show and we wanted drama for the show.
the
So,
other thing,
two
and
families.
the other thing that I just don't understand is, Lee tells them that I managed to escape to Hollow Earth, so that probably means that we can get your mother back. And Hiroshi snaps at him and says, "No, I don't want anything to do with Monarch. I'm done with this shit. I'm not doing that." So why would he go around the world trying to chase Godzilla around?
Yeah, like we don't know what he was doing. Like it was never answered as to exactly what he was trying to do, right? Like he's out
And
there
again,
doing something
uh,
similar to what his parents were doing, but we don't know what that is or why or what he was trying to figure out or anything.
like what exactly the what he was doing, I can live with knowing this next time, but why he was doing that, that's something that I'm interested in knowing. But I also think they
Hmm,
should have dedicated some time for it this season and not just make us wait.
agreed.
And to be honest, there are other stuff that I like. I think maybe I would have got like there are there's like the goofy monarch guy that's trying to change them around. He's kind of on and off. I
I
didn't
love
really care.
I love that his name is just Tim.
Yeah.
It's such a just it just feels like such a bad like just pulled out of a hat name, right? Like we need a guy. We need a guy. What should
Him.
this guy's name be? He's the Monarch guy. He's a little
What?
goofy.
Which also,
Tim.
why not just name him Guy? There are people named Guy.
I feel like that would be a good because isn't there someone named Guy in like the MonsterVerse somewhere as well? I feel like there's someone, right?
Like it fucking matters, dude. There are so many people in real life that have the same name.
I mean,
This is where we
fair,
draw the line.
but I feel like that would be a
There's a
reference. I feel
giant
like
no, no, no. There's a giant ass fire breathing lizard going around, where we draw the line at two people have the same name. No, 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 no.
no,
Can't do
no.
that.
I'm fine with him having the same name. I thought it would make a cool reference. I think right. I could be wrong, but I swear there was someone in like the Godzilla verse at some point that was just named Guy, and I'm like, cool. I'm right with that. So name this dude Guy. He can be the reference back to that if you want. I don't know.
Fair enough.
I could be wrong.
I
Maybe I'm mixing shit up. I don't know anymore.
well,
There's so much Godzilla.
I mean, to be honest, it doesn't. I just want to say that I guess that he's supposed to be there for the comic relief, but I didn't really care for him all that much. He had a line here and there, and I'm like, okay, that was cute, but otherwise,
He had
meh.
moments, but that was about it.
Yeah. What else from the entire show? I'm trying to run it all in my head to make sure I'm not missing anything. Um, okay, you know what? Let's talk about that. What do you think about the idea that it's honestly not that much of a mandatory view for the monsterverse?
I think that's okay. I think if this was like either mandatory or a needed watch before you went and watched the new movie, that would be bad, right? Never do that. That's not a good
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's a little bit disappointing that it's not as connected as it maybe could be because it's set in between like two different movies that are like, the first Godzilla movie and then like
The King
before
of the Monsters.
before Godzilla versus Kong, right? Because you have this weird thing of, well, we can't do anything that takes away from that first film, but we can't do anything that would like make this Godzilla versus Kong second, the second that next film also, feel off in any way. So it's like it sets in that weird spot where you can't do anything major, but you can't, but you still want to have your connections.
Yeah.
So
And to be honest, I like that it's not a mandatory viewing
agreed.
because if you are doing that, then there are other problems of that, and the MCU is gonna suffering from that. So that's another. Uh, but I think there's also something that I feel if you're into the monsterverse, like I am and you are too.
Mhm.
I I think that, and again, maybe this could change, but from this first season, I'm like, I got a show that I overall had a good time watching, and there are a lot of stuff about it that I like. But I'm also, but then I'm also kind of looking back and it's like, what did this show actually give me besides more time in this universe? And the answer so far is not much.
You got a little bit of Monarch's beginning origins, and that's pretty much it, right? Like that's
Mm,
really all you have learned
yeah.
ultimately. And
Hmm.
that's nice, but yet it definitely feels like I'm kind of left wanting more, right? And
Yeah.
that's not a I'm left wanting more because the show is that good. I'm left wanting more because the show kind of gave me a little tidbit and then just left me out to dry.
It promised me something which it didn't deliver yet.
Yeah. And again, maybe it comes back for a second season and it gives us a way better serving, right? And it's way
Again, we
better.
know season two has been just confirmed
Hmm.
again a few days ago, so we know that we're getting it, and I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm count me in for that. But and might as well, unless you have anything to say to add about this season, maybe we should just talk. What do you want to see in season two?
Yeah, let's go for it.
So, one interesting to note that when they come back and where the show lives off, it's in 2017, right?
Yeah, because it'll
And
be, is
and
it going to be after the newest movie or before?
no, 20. Here's the thing, because it seemed like they refer to G Day as happened in 2014,
Yeah.
which means that they are keeping track with the continuity that Godzilla 2014 happened in 2014.
Yeah.
And in King of the Monsters, they say that after G Day, Godzilla hasn't been noticed by the public for 5 years. Which, okay, I can roll with that, sure. But that means that it's 2019. So supposedly each movie is taking place at the year it came out,
So yeah,
right? Like uh,
Godzilla
like
versus
Godzilla
Kong came
20.
out 2019, right? Or 2020.
No, 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 no. King of the Monsters was 2019. Godzilla versus Kong was 20.
That's right.
So
Oh yeah,
supposedly
I'm
this is
mixing those two up. Godzilla King of the Monsters is when he fights Ghidorah, isn't it?
right.
Yes, and that's when Apex. Yeah, that's what I was meaning. King of the Monsters
Yeah,
is the one I'm talking about. I apologize. Not Godzilla versus Kong. I keep saying that. Godzilla
yeah.
versus
So
Kong comes after that one. Fuck me.
mhm.
It's been too damn long, right? I want to bring that up briefly. It feels like this show would have been better sooner, I think, right?
I But and I did give you the entire continuity timeline. But all right, mistakes happen. Don't worry about it. Either way, either
Yeah,
way, either
yeah.
way, either way. Uh,
Before I
so
tangent.
mm, so so now in 2017, that now we are basically 3 years after Godzilla was after G Day, when Godzilla was last seen before King of the Monsters, and we're in 2017. So they're in 2017 on Skull Island. Now we do know that Kong has been basically on Skull Island for a long ass time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He's been there since the Vietnam days, and he's been growing up there, and he's been living there, and the Monarch has been kind of watching him.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, that's all well and that's all well and good. That's I'm actually, and again I also like that. While Kong Skull Island is the first one chronologically because it takes place so many years ago, the putting them there in 2017 kind of relates because that movie came out in 2017. So it's like, oh, I see what you did there, smart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the point where I'm okay. So now they're in this Kong research facility of Monarch in 2017. Now you kind of can't avoid having essentially Team Kong from Godzilla versus Kong there. Like at least the adult scientist. You kind of need her there now because this is her operation. She's running everything Kong related.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really have these characters there and just go like, oh, she's in a meeting, oh, she's not available. Oh, you kind of need this woman there. Now the question is, what exactly can you do with Monarch on Skull Island 4 years before they decide to move him to Hollow Earth?
Exploring it, or I don't
You see,
know.
no, and you see that I don't really have any answers for that either. But I'm willing to bet that maybe the writers are a bit smarter than me, and maybe they do have an idea of what to do with it. Also, just because they're on Skull Island now doesn't mean that they have to stay there for a whole season.
True.
They could probably leave at some point. Because obviously you can just show Kong there for the again budget and everything. But I and
They could potentially do more flashbacks and setting up how Monarch got to Skull Island after Bill
yeah,
Randa
that.
died there, would be my one
Mhm.
thought.
But in order to do that, you might also need this, besides Bill Randa, right?
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see him being like, you know what? I have this relative who was on Skull Island back when that movie happened so long ago. I want to go there and kind of explore what is left, and he discovers that Kong is still alive. Maybe that's because Monarch is based on the entire idea of discovering these titans and everything. Maybe knowing that there's a titan that's just on this one island and doesn't really move from there, that maybe that's fascinating.
Yeah,
That's
like
fascinating.
actually no, that would be really good, like showing Hiroshi going back to Skull Island right after his dad died there and everything. Like that'd actually be interesting of him growing,
Hmm.
like getting to see more of Hiroshi, I think would be a good
Yeah,
idea, and
more
using
of it.
Skull Island to do that potentially, because you could do like, hey, here's flashbacks of, not super far into the past, but somewhat into the past of a younger Hiroshi before he had all the family drama, like just still working with, like going into Monarch, doing stuff for Monarch, and going back to Skull Island and trying to find more stuff going on there maybe. And
Yeah.
then right, you go into, and like then you fast forward, right, and you show like, current Hiroshi with his family drama trying to work shit out and figure it out, right?
So there are definitely things that they can do, and yeah, you know what, I'm game.
I I feel
I'm
like
ready.
though, they're probably going to do more stuff with Keiko, right? Since Grandma's been gone for like 50 some odd years. So, and she
Yeah,
still looks like, and Grandma's younger than her son now at this point, it seems like. So,
yeah,
like,
like
I feel
this
like they're
again.
gonna do some stuff there, and I feel like they're
The
gonna do a
entity.
thing of going back to see if they can find Shaw and trying to rescue him.
Hmm.
I feel like
Yeah,
they're gonna do that.
there are definitely things to do, and I would consider myself interested. There are definitely directions, as we just discovered.
Agreed.
Then whatever they decide to do with it, I consider me interested. But if season two was only announced now, I am afraid of when we're actually going to see it.
I hope it's not. I come back to it. I think they waited too long for this show, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Like to air it and
From what
everything. I
I
think this
told,
the decision to make this show should have been made somewhat sooner than what it was. Maybe.
to be fair though, we are kind of late to talk about it. It was in 2013, I want to say, and not
Wait, this show
that,
came out
but
in 2013. What?
2023.
I was getting
Sorry,
ready to
sorry.
say like, what the fuck? It came out
No,
before Godzilla movie.
no. I never
Damn.
mind. No, but I'm just gonna I'm googling it right now just to make sure that I'm getting the timeline correct here because I think um, yeah, it premiered in November of 2023.
Yeah, late
So
2023. So it's kind of like so we're a
so
little bit behind, but not that far.
yeah, it's like it's one of those.
Mm,
It, it was technically 2 years ish after Godzilla versus Kong, so
that's fair.
it's not too
Okay,
long.
never
It's
mind.
not. It's not too long, but it's also one of those. There wasn't really anything in this universe between the two, so it
Yeah,
makes sense that maybe something did die down a bit. But overall, if they announce it now, then who knows? Maybe by I don't want to say the end of this year, but maybe start of 2025 we'll already see season two. Maybe
maybe
it's possible
something in between another film if they plan on doing another one or something. Yeah, would be
because
beneficial.
that's like they also announced that there are going to be other spin-offs in the vein of this. So I I'm interested in seeing what they got planned because meanwhile the movies are kind of seeming to do well. Again, we'll talk more about the new Empire next week, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, so far it's been kicking it in the box office. Like
You know,
it's been really
bringing
good
that up
money.
briefly, here's a question for you: is there any particular kind of spin-off you'd want to see? Like not counting this one, right? Is there any particular spin-off you'd want to see?
I would say that, again, not to talk about the new Empire too much, but it did leave me with a spin-off that I would like to see if they can actually pull it off. And all
You'll
I'm
have to
gonna
mention it next time.
all I'm gonna say without giving you anything away, if
Mm-hmm.
you're listening to this and you've seen the new Empire, you might know what I'm talking about. But there's something with the tribe that lived on Skull Island that I think would be interesting for a show.
Interesting. I can't wait to hear more about it next time. Keep you
Mhm.
wanting, audience. That's right.
Yeah. And but in terms of other stuff, the stuff with Monarch, keep it for future seasons. But as spin-offs entirely, I get, something and again, keep in mind when I'm saying spin-off, I don't mean a whole other show. You can also make
Yeah.
this a movie.
Yeah.
But something I would tell you maybe just I would like to see a movie kind of exploring Ken Watanabe's Shirazawa's relationship with his son because his son kind of one of the bad guys in Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
So I I kind of want to see what is this going to be like. I want to see what is the relationship that made them like be on opposite sides of the entire Titans thing. Hmm. You may never know. Let's do this. I want to see that.
True. I think I would kind of be interested in a I don't know. I guess this would be a more of the Monarch TV show maybe, but I would definitely be interested in something exploring more of the Hollow Earth maybe, personally, right?
Yeah, something more about the Hollow Earth. Yeah.
Like going more into it and seeing more of that realm slash world, I think would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Actually, fuck! I just realized. Apparently, the Skull Island anime that's on Netflix. Apparently, that's canon.
Hmm. I didn't even
Guess
know that
we're
was a
doing that at some point. I don't know when,
there's a
but at some point. Hmm.
Oh yeah, there
Well,
is, huh? Did not know this was a thing.
mhm. Yeah. So I hope it's better than
Well,
the
this is also
Godzilla
really recent. This was
had.
last year too. Huh.
What did you say?
This was Skull Island anime was last year. I did not realize that.
Hmm.
Very short.
Well, yeah. Well, I thought it was just a solo thing, but if it's related, then I guess we'll talk about it at some point. keep in touch. Keep in touch. We'll
Hmm.
see. So, anyway, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, again, overall, a fine enough show. It has some, little niggles with it here or there that I was kind of like, I'm not great with this. Like, there's some things I'm not happy with, but overall, I think a lot of potential. I'm curious in a second season, as you said, and
Mm-hmm.
if as long as they don't make some of the same mistakes, I think they'll be doing good.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen far, far worse.
Mm-hmm. Well, I enjoyed what I was given, even if I had some problems with it. And if you want to give me more, I'm willing to bite and see what's next.
Hmm.
So, with all that being said, this is it for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed it. What do you think about Monarch: Legacy of Monsters? Are you looking forward to more Monsterverse spin-offs? And are you looking for season two? You can tell us all about it in the comment section below on our Twitter, which is Berkcast with capital B, capital C, and on our Tumblr, which is Berkcast Team. So until Godzilla X Kong the New Empire, I was HC.
It was Wolf.
And we will see you all next time. Take care.
Bye bye.